What's up, guys? Sorry for the delay. I've been a little sick and under the weather. Anyway, we are going to be covering 10 cards that I think should be banned, but aren't. Let me know in the comments what you think should be banned, or if you agree with my wacky picks. We're going to start with some lukewarm takes, then move into some hot takes. First off is Dranith Magistrate. For 1 and a white, you get a 1/3 creature, human wizard. Your opponents can't cast spells from anywhere other than their hands. This is a very hated card in Commander because it goes against the spirit of Commander by saying you simply can't play your commanders. If it said anywhere other than the command zone, that would be fine, but the fact that this is almost exclusively used to hose out people's commanders makes this card a problematic card. And before you defend it with, oh, it's just a creature, it can die to kill spells. So can a lot of things. It doesn't mean they're not an unfun card to play and make you look kind of like a poopy head for putting them in your deck. There, I said it. Next up, we have Demonic Consultation. For 1 and a black, you get an instant, name a card, remove the top 6 cards of your library from the game, then reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal the named card, put that card into your hand, and remove all other cards revealed this way from the game. Conversely, Divining Witch is the same exact effect, but is it on a creature? This is almost exclusively used unfairly with the combo of Thassa's Oracle, which makes you win the game instantly for just 3 mana, which makes this not a very fun card. In addition to our last entry, this again goes against the spirit of Commander, as you are just using a 2-card combo to win as early as turn 1 if you're lucky. This is fine for CDH, but the problem is that it ekes its way into casual, and that is where a lot of these bans are coming from. Is I'm talking about casual games or even higher power games, not CDH. CDH can kind of just do whatever it wants. Next up we have Expropriate. For 7 blue, you get a sorcery with Council's Dilemma. Starting with you, each player votes for time or money. For each time vote, take an extra turn after this one. For each money vote, choose a permanent owned by the voter and gain control of it. Exile Expropriate. I know what you're thinking. Blaine, this is 9 mana. It should win you the game. Agreed, if anyone was ever paying 9 mana for it. People always play this for free, super early, steal 3 lands, take an extra turn, the game's pretty over. Because if you give them more than 1 turn, the game is even more over. But being able to untap with all of your opponent's best stuff and an extra turn makes this a 1-card win con, and 1-card win cons are super duper boring, in my opinion. And of course, if your play group is super sweaty, you might need this card. That's fine. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about specifically casual, because this is not a casual card. It just wins you the game the second you drop it, and it's just like Craterhoof to me, which is at least needs a little bit more setup, but it is again a just, I play this, I win, no matter what the game state has, and all of your turns are irrelevant because I played this one single card. This one's another twofer. We have Armageddon and Ravages of War. They're both the same card. For 1 white and 3, you get a sorcery with Destroy All Lands. That's it. Usually people do a good job of keeping this out of their decks, but unfortunately, people don't all see this card as an unfun card. Some people think it's just fine enough to counter those pesky mono-green decks, which mono-green has a lot of advantages, sure, but they're extremely susceptible to control, so I think you're doing plenty fine controlling them with any cacophony of kill spells. This card is super unfun. It's been top of the salt score for a very long time, and the problem isn't that people just play their win con, then play Armageddon to seal the deal, which again doesn't necessarily win you the game, because if you play Armageddon with, let's say, Avacyn out, and someone simply just exiles your Avacyn, well, now we're all sent back to the Stone Age, and you've simply added 30 to 40 minutes to the game for literally no reason. But people also do this spitefully. I'm behind. I'm going to play Armageddon. Now we're all behind. Now everyone's going to top deck, land go, if that, for the next few turns, and whoever has the best board state's simply just going to win. Again, very boring, very not fun. Please do not put this in your deck against me. These next two cards are kind of similar for the same reason, but we're going to cover Gaias Cradle. This is a land, tap, add a green mana to your mana pool for each creature you control. This is a reserve list card. I think it's shooting around $2,000–$3,000. This feels more like I got mommy's credit card so I can afford the busted cards that win me the game. It is not at all a fair card, and it just needs to see a ban. You know, I think it was made at a time when creature decks were far less prevalent, and the fact that this is just so abusable and the artifact one is banned means that this one should get the boot too. Another I win because I have deeper pockets than you card, Mana Crypt. For 0 mana, at the beginning of your upkeep, flip a coin. If you lose the flip, Mana Crypt deals 3 damage to you. Tap, add 2 colorless to your mana pool. Having this turns 1, 2, or 3 will extremely boost your chance of winning because you're just two turns ahead of everyone. And that further, you know, the more things you play, the even further you get ahead. It's very, very not fair to those who can't afford a Mana Crypt. I think if Mana Crypt was $1 or $2, we might have a different conversation, but the fact that it is so expensive means that only the deepest pocket people and the whales can afford such a busted card. Means that we should just balance it and just ban it outright so that everyone can have a more stable time having fun and less the people who have more money win the game. This one's a bit of a hot take, so hear me out. Soul Ring, 1 mana for an artifact, tap, add 2 to your mana pool. I highly doubt this card will ever get banned. I know it's the poster child of Commander, but I do believe that having this turn 1 puts you at such an extremely high advantage that it just makes it kind of awkward. You become the target immediately, and people have this weird social protection where you shouldn't be popping mana rocks. Man, you're 2 mana ahead. This is a freaking Soul Ring. Of course I'm going to pop it if I can. It's an absurd amount of mana for the turn 1. Agreed, this will probably never happen ever. But if it does, I think it would be a welcome change and a helpful pump to Commander as a whole. And people would be more excited to play more cards in their deck, other than my options are 99 cards in a Soul Ring. Cyclonic Rift. For 1 and a blue, you get an instant. Return target non-land permanent you don't control to its owner's hand. Overload for 7. This one's a weird one, because I do play this in a few decks, but if it got banned, I wouldn't shed a tear. Just like Golos before it. I had Golos in a couple of decks, it got banned, gone. Oh well, dims to breaks. Cyclonic Rift is another, super expensive I win card. It is very, very, very absurdly powerful. I would even wager the most powerful blue card in all of Magic, being an instant speed board wipe that is one-sided and will almost certainly win you the game the following turn. It does sort of feel like a one-card win con, kind of like Expropriate before it, but at least you need a bit of setup to instantly win with this, because you need to have a board that can accommodate you wiping all your opponent's stuff. But putting them as far as 1 to maybe even 4 turns behind to replay all their stuff. This is a weird one. I agree, but Sarah's Ascendant. For 1 white, you get a 1/1 creature human monk with lifelink. As long as you have 30 or more life, Sarah's Ascendant gets +5/+5 and has flying. I don't think anyone's really talked about this being on a ban list except for me. I think that a 1 mana 6/6 flying lifelink is extremely absurd on turn 1. And if you don't have an immediate answer for it, it's just going to chunk and put a 12-point deficit between you and someone else. Because you lose 6, and I'll gain 6, and I can hit as much as like 2 or 3 times before it finally dies, if it ever dies. It just needs to be worded 10 above your starting life total, and I think it would be a totally fine card, no complaints. But the fact that it kicks off at 30, which it was made before Commander existed, so this is the implication that is 10 above your life total, your starting life total, which would, again, is totally fine. But in Commander, you start at 40, which makes this card a bit more busted. And by a bit, I mean like a ton more busted. And finally, here's another weird one, Soren Markov. For 3, black, you get a Planeswalker Soren, uptick for 2, deal 2 damage to any target creature or player, you gain 2 life, downtick for 3, target opponent's life total becomes 10, ult for 7, you control target player during that player's next turn, loyalty at 4. None of the abilities in this card are particularly busted, except for that downtick. Putting someone at 10 for 6 mana that you can run in every single black deck ever makes this just absurdly powerful. I'm so happy people don't play this card, at least at my local play group, but I would... oh my god, I hate this card. The fact that unless you counter it or stifle it, there's nothing you can do. It's 6 mana, you are at 10, period. That sucks. Because once they play it, they gain priority. You can't respond until they put something else in the stack. They put the downtick on the stack. Now you gotta deal with it. So you're just gonna go to 10. Even if you have some reaction to blow up Soren, it doesn't matter. It's just an absurdly busted card. And I am very happy that no one plays it. Because I think if it saw much more play, if it was in like every single black deck, it would get banned so much faster. Here's a bonus one for you. Triumph for the Hordes. For 2 green, you get a sorcery until end of turn. Creatures you control get +1/+1, gain trample, and infect. It's a super boring win con. It's like Crater Hoof, but it only costs 4 mana, and it usually only knocks out 1 or 2 people, and then the game is left with the 3rd and 4th person just fighting it out, while the other 2 people just sit there and watch. One of the main reasons I don't like Poison is because it usually eliminates out 1 person, and that person has to sit and just watch, which is not super fun. Usually, by the time person gets knocked out, the infect player has been completely hosed and turned off and dealt with, which means that they can't kill the other 2 people, and now you're just sitting there, bored, watching other people play. And you sat down to play, so having 1 person just strip that from you super fast makes it not fun at all. And that's my opinion on Poison. It's poopy farts. Thank you for checking out my video. I hope you enjoyed. Maybe you agree, maybe you don't agree. Maybe you have some suggestions that should be banned that I didn't cover. Maybe you don't think that mine should be banned at all. Let me know in the comments, and we'll have a friendly discussion. Have a good one.